Homeboy be speaking the truth tonight. This song's called Can't Fix Crazy. What's out to all your lonely hearts out there? What you did that time is that you guys didn't make it big change for me. And awkward. That was better over the time. I keep a record, but you know it's always that time. You did not wonder what you did.
Welcome back to The Crazy Life. My name's Jen, and I have Bryan with me, of course, as always. Hey, Bryan.
Hi.
So how's your week been?
It's been a week. Yeah, it's been kind of tough mentally. You know, I haven't been sleeping real well because of my anxiety, and it's just, it's been just a tough go. I haven't wanted to get out of bed again. Just meh. So, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, did you try to do your challenge?
Yeah.
How'd that work?
It went okay. What I chose to do was because my mom's been sick and stuff, I've been cooking more. Which I know, like I don't mind cooking at all. I've gotten to where I just never do it. So I cooked for most of last week.
Well, that's cool.
So,
I mean, did you feel any different about it, having people like kind of rely on you for something?
No.
Mm-mm.
No, I'm just funny like that. I think it's that I take more stock in me depending on me than I do in others depending on me. I actually don't like it when others depend on me. I never have. You know, like I never liked like group activities in school and stuff. Even though I knew I was going to pull my weight, I just never liked them because I don't like other people having expectations of me. Even though I know they will. I mean, obviously, you know.
Well, I think that part of that goes to the whole, mental illness. I know a lot of people, me included, we have a tendency because we get so, it's almost like, it's hard to explain, but when there's expectations on you, it's harder almost to do things. It's much easier when there's no expectations. You can just do things when you want to do them and don't have to worry about other people.
Well, I think a lot of it is that, if someone doesn't have expectations of you, you can't disappoint them, basically. I think that's kind of a
good point.
It removes any pressure, and even though most of the pressure that like with this kind of stuff, it's always it's all perception. Like
absolutely.
Like somebody else may not feel, may not be putting any pressure on me. I just feel immense pressure to do something because I put that on me. And you know me long enough to know I put way more pressure on me than I do on anybody or generally anyone puts on me. It's, I own that. I know that.
Right.
I've always been incredibly tough on myself. But whatever, So
yeah, I mean it's difficult, that's for sure. Because my week's been pretty good. I went down to the lake the majority of the time. Some days I missed for various reasons. I got too busy with regular life and stuff, but most of the time was because I was out doing things, which is a good thing.
That's yeah.
So that was kind of the point. I kind of struggled with going by myself, so I ended up taking them one at a time, which was interesting.
Okay, I was going to say you took both of them? Okay, yeah, all right.
Yeah, one at a time. I kind of alternated days and stuff, and it's funny because those of you who have cats, my cats, when you put a leash and collar on them, they're not a fan of them, but they don't freak out.
Yeah.
So, they won't really, they'll walk on a leash as long as there's no tension on the leash.
Right.
And you don't try to direct them.
Yeah. Which sounds fairly typical of a lot of cats. I mean, that's just their general behavior. I think you could use that as an analogy for a relationship with a cat anyway.
Right.
Except exchange, leash for relationship, Because as long as they don't feel tension or this or that and no pressure they just do whatever the hell they want and, So, yeah.
Exactly.
I think that's why I've always identified more with cats than dogs. Because that's how I am. I don't want any tension on the leash. I just want to be left alone and, I'll explore on my own.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it was kind of, I'd put them down. They would chew in the grass and just kind of walk around a little bit. Then I'd pick them up, walk a ways with them. And then when they started struggling a little bit, so I'd let them down, let them explore. But the funny part is, because I've got two. I've got Max and Frank. And Frank is a Siamese Himalayan mix, so he's a small cat. And Max is kind of a tomcat. He's a big boy. So when we went down to the water, we got to the lake, Frankie was, he wanted to be in my arms. So, I picked him up and he was kind of looking around and stuff, but he was pretty chill with the whole thing. He didn't necessarily enjoy it per se, but he wasn't freaked by it either,
right,
by seeing all the water and stuff. Max, on the other hand, my big bruiser, we got down to the water. I picked him up and he was shaking like a leaf. He was like completely freaked by the waves and by the water and stuff. And he's like, "What the fuck?" he was not a happy camper. I mean, the second time we went, it was less windy, so there wasn't as much going on. So he was kind of cooler with that idea. But I even set him down on the beach for a minute for him to kind of feel the sand and stuff. So he's kind of settling down at the whole thing. But
right.
It was funny. I mean, it was still one of those things that I had a hard time. I think the idea of doing something by myself really it was just intimidating, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
It was one of those things that I almost needed something else I can help focus on to kind of take the focus away from me.
Yeah.
And that was good, bad, or ugly. I'm going to continue with this. I'm going to continue trying and seeing what happens and how things go. But it was definitely good. I mean, I felt better every time I went. I always felt better.
Yeah. I would imagine it's kind of similar to, I was actually just reading a little bit ago about using meditation, for anxiety and depression. And it's probably similar in that fashion. It's kind of you can kind of drop other distractions and focus on, the serenity of whatever, like on an ocean or a lake or whatever. It's, makes sense why, that those sounds have been used for calming tapes and CDs and whatever for years,
Absolutely.
So, yeah, it makes sense.
Till you find a dead fish on the beach, and then it's not so.
Yeah, that's definitely that. Yeah, that'll make you look at it a little different for a minute.
Yeah, kind of ruins the moment a little bit.
Right.
One of the walks last week, there was a dead fish and a fish carcass, and I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
Not so fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it certainly ruins the romanticism of it.
Though it is kind of poetic.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, but it's been kind of a stressful week at work. So I really think that helped, and I think being on my medicines kind of helped, because somebody got me really, really frustrated, and instead of, I didn't feel myself needing to cry, which was a bonus.
Right.
And, but on the flip side, I did lose my temper a bit. And right after that, I ended up going to lunch. And I sat and I thought about it and thought about it. And I thought about it for quite a while for the rest of the day, just trying to decide where the feelings were coming from. Is it something that needs to be addressed, or am I just, irritated by the delivery, of how someone was telling me something?
Yeah.
Or how, the ins and outs of it.
Well, yeah,
and
it's really like, am I behaving logically?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly it.
Do I owe an apology to somebody, or yeah?
Mm-hmm. Right. Is this a logical response, or is this a mental response?
It's funny because when I lose my temper, usually the first thing I think of, like after I start cooling down, is, do I owe someone an apology? Because I feel some guilt from it. But then, if I don't, then I can dismiss it fairly quickly. But it's, if I do, then it eats me. It eats at me more. But yeah,
exactly. Well, I did pretty good because I talked about it, or I ended up handling at work. I still owe this guy probably a touch base because I need to touch base with him and let him know, because part of it is his delivery and how he communicates with me.
Yeah,
puts me on edge.
Right.
So he makes me defensive. Not intentional, it just is.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to probably have a conversation with him, just say, hey, this is how I'm feeling, this is how things are going. And then but that night I ended up going home, and I talked to a friend on the way home from work, and then I talked to my boyfriend for a while about it. And I didn't end up going to alcohol. I didn't end up crawling into myself like I kind of wanted to.
Which is a good sign, yeah.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
I really feel that it was a good
right.
thing.
Because don't get me wrong. I mean, obviously, we all know that. Well, those of us that imbibe, I should say, we know that it is nice once in a while to just blow off the steam by just having a couple beers or something. But it's you have to be very careful that it's not your crutch. That it's not an every time I'm mad, I'm going to have a glass of whiskey or something to calm me, not calm me down. I don't know. Whiskey's not notorious for being calming, but you know what I mean. It's you have to be very careful that you aren't going to it all the time. And I've found myself, well, that I did that years ago, that I found myself as a way of dealing with mainly my anxiety and also my depression, but mostly at the time it was more my social anxiety. That's what I would do is wherever I went, it was like, yeah, give me some alcohol. And I'd knock back a bunch of alcohol. And then I was like, okay, I'm good now. And that's not good, And then, like I said, I kind of self-medicated with alcohol for a while. And I felt myself doing it off and on. And, whenever I do, it's like, okay, it's time to step away from the booze for a little bit and make myself not use that as the answer,
Exactly. And I have a tendency to do that with TV and alcohol are kind of like my big crutches.
Yeah.
That whatever things are going rough, I just kind of resort to, I have a couple drinks, I sit down on the couch, turn my TV on, and go into the blissful,
Which, like I said, if you isolate that, I'm sure people listening are probably like, yeah, I do that. It's not that big. It's like, much like a lot of things you'll find we talk about on the show, once in a while is okay. But people who have mental illness have to be careful that it's not a pattern, that it's not an everyday, this is how I deal. I mean, having a drink when you get home to unwind or what, yeah, that's whatever. When it becomes, wow, I drank this whole bottle of wine,
every night.
Every night, yeah. It's like, okay, you maybe need to re-examine how you're processing stuff because you're probably not actually processing things.
Exactly. That's usually a sign that things are getting buried, and they will reappear. I promise you.
And generally worse. You know what I mean? It's like anything. If you keep packing the garbage, eventually the bag explodes. It splits and everything falls out. It's, and your head's going to be the same way eventually. Somewhere you're going to just blow for the worst reason. Like someone putting, a straw wrapper at the top of, a garbage bag, and that's it. It's it's just the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back, and
Yep.
And
I was on a podcast called A Little Punch Drunk with a friend Rambo, who's the host of it, and we were talking, and I think that's going to be posted next week.
Yeah, he
But
usually puts them up Mondays.
Yeah, he posts on Mondays.
Yep.
And we were talking about things, and he shared a story because he's got extreme temper issues, and he kind of bottled it up for too long lately.
Yeah.
And a few months ago or so, he pretty much trashed his apartment looking for a pair of keys.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And don't get me wrong. Again, you take that as an isolated thing, and a lot of people, well, I've torn my place up looking. It's like, no. He probably was like winging stuff around the room, and
Yes.
Yeah.
He threw a couch into the wall.
Right.
And...
Yeah, he was throwing a tantrum and looking for his keys. That's essential, and I don't mean that in any disrespectful way to Rambo if he's
absolutely.
listening. But that's essentially the again. There's that difference between, and that's part of what I keep trying to explain to people about mental illness is there's a difference between, again, you can logically tear your apartment apart looking for your keys. You know, everyone's done it. Like you've lost your keys at some point and you're in a hurry, so you're not putting everything back in place and I'll clean it up later. And then there's like laying waste to Tokyo like you're Godzilla, you know?
Right.
So, yeah, I can't stress that enough. A lot of the stuff we talk about, it may sound okay if you don't have mental illness, but it's not because it becomes a repeated pattern. Again, it affects you, you know, you have to be careful that you don't fall into some of this stuff.
Yeah, he scared his wife.
Yeah, which is not a good thing.
No.
Because she's known him a while, and she
Yeah.
knows he's got rage issues. So it's... When you're with someone they know and accept that you have rage issues and you scare them, yeah, I'm sure that jarred him pretty good, you know, because I know that's not who he is, you know.
Not at all.
No.
And I think that's the important part. You know, we always have to deal with you have to deal with your emotions. You got to deal with how you're feeling. Whether it's rational or irrational, it doesn't matter because feelings are there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a fact, you know. If how you are feeling is a fact, so you can't say I shouldn't feel this way or I should feel this way or else. No, it just is. How you act upon it, though, that's the part that you can control. You can't control if you're sad or happy or whatever.
Yeah, it's much like the grieving process. You know, like anybody you watch, you can look and see people just tore up completely and other people just seem to be, steel through it. And, first you don't know what they're like in private and everything, but at the same time, it's still, you can't project onto them, well, why aren't you torn up? Why aren't you this way? Or what? And it's like, listen, we all grieve how we grieve. We can't, some people get back on a horse and they're ready to go the next day for work, and other people need a week, or, they can't process it, they don't process it the same way, so it takes them longer, and it's all fine. It's just
it just is.
You just have to be comfortable with how that is.
As I've always said, you can't you don't have to understand, you just have to accept.
Well, you can't. I found a long time ago you can't understand feelings because they're feelings. If they weren't, they'd be logic, and that's, again, it's the major disconnect between men and women typically is that, men tend to look at things like, why is that it doesn't, and I don't want to say men are more logical. I don't mean it in that sense. It's just, by and large, guys don't tend to, they don't tend to tie things emotionally the same way. A lot of times it's just, it's why there's, and so many people online are, oh, women are crazy. And it's like, no, they're not. They're just feelings-based, whereas a lot of times guys who, oh, they're just cold jerks. It's like, no, they're not. But it's, it's...
Right. As my boyfriend likes to refer to, women are batshit crazy.
Yeah, everyone's batshit crazy, though. That's the problem.
Right.
Because,
we just tell in our own ways.
You just have to find, because there's always going to be something,
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Well, kind of speaking of emotional dumps and things like that, I think social media has kind of opened that door to us to share emotions and share where you're at any given moment. So I think in a lot of ways it's good.
Yeah.
Because you have that opportunity to kind of, in the moment, just kind of get rid of whatever you have going on.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, I think there's also some harm because, by getting rid of whatever you have going on to such a large, open, public place,
yeah,
you kind of open yourself up for misunderstandings or, hurt feelings and stuff. So it's just kind of one of those. It's very interesting having to deal with social media.
Yeah, I have three things essentially here. I've got, and I'll read this real quick. This is from a comedian named Grace Helbig. And if you watch the show At Midnight, you've probably seen her as a panelist on there various times. And she has a show on E! I can't remember what it's called. It's Grace something. Gracie, I can't remember. Anyway, she was on Access Hollywood, and she said this. I enjoy social media. I'm an introvert by nature, so I like being alone a lot, but I still like being social. And I think that's kind of the paradise that is the internet for a lot of other introverts. You still get the socialness, the connectivity, and the sharing of information and ideas that you get in social settings, but you get it in the comfort of your aloneness. And that, I think, is one of the best summations of it that I've ever heard. Because
I agree, yeah.
For the longest time, like, I essentially, if you follow me on Twitter, I've used Twitter as a brain dump for a long time. And whether it's silly stuff, depressing stuff, both, wordplay, that kind of stuff, I typically am just trying to get, if I'm having negative thoughts, I use it as a way to basically get them out of my head, much like they used to tell people to write, like, a nasty letter to somebody and then bury it or throw it away or whatever, like not give it to them, but just to get those feelings out of you and then get rid of it, basically. And so I kind of use social media in that aspect, and there's been a lot of nights where I'm having a rough go of things because of anxiety or my depression, and I find comfort in other people who also have had this or whatever. I found a lot of people that I've had great conversations with that I had never talked to before, but because I posted something about just having a rough go of it, people will send you a DM or something and be like, hey, I went through this and, different stuff. It's bonded me with a lot of people that I never probably would have bonded with otherwise. So there's that aspect, which is fantastic. But what I also found is that by putting this stuff on, like, Twitter, is that, like, if I have a couple thoughts and then I post them, what happens with the way my head works is it's almost like I'm trying to think of the word. It's like a snowball effect, basically.
Mm-hmm.
In that if I post depressing comment A, my brain will maybe think a little, like, tick to the left of that, and then I'll post another one, and then another one, and another one. And then what you find
spiral.
Is that you've actually thrown yourself into a spiral. Plus, social media, you tend to follow like people. So I tend to follow and talk with people who also are dealing with this. So as they post and I post, I'm sitting there looking at Twitter for an hour or 2 hours, and I'm essentially reading nothing but negativity, even if it is under the guise of some of it's funny or awkward or whatever, but it's still negativity and that's all you're reading, Mm-hmm. And the other thing I have is actually it's from a site called Everyday Health, and there's science behind that. Staying on social media too long basically can feed into your depression.
Mm-hmm.
And
I can see that.
Yeah, and because it says, and they have some points here. It's like it furthers the vicious cycle of sitting at home by yourself and being remote, which it's the flip side of what Grace Helbig said. Which is, that part of it is kind of nice, but there's also this, It says you become a victim of your own thoughts as you become less attuned to the outside world, and you might get steered into chat rooms with people who prompt negative thoughts, feelings, and emotions instead of engaging with people that are living a more positive, healthier lifestyle, which is all pretty much what things I just pointed out before reading this, so I certainly see both sides of it and have experienced both sides, and I'm very careful now as I post on Twitter that if I start posting essentially too many things that I feel are like down or whatever, I immediately start trying to. I actually have a list on there that I follow that most of those people are just straight out funny, and I'll start doing that to look for a different vibe, basically, to get my head back out of it, to where I start thinking more of like, because I love wordplay, I love bad wordplay especially, so
Right.
I'll look at people who do that, and then I'll start. I kind of obsess on a word until I can find a way of playing on it. So
kind of redirecting your brain.
Yes, and I do it on purpose because I know if I don't, I'm going to just go down the wrong way for a while.
And that's really important, I think, for everybody in general, but especially for people with mental illness, that you can redirect.
Yeah.
It's not you're not stuck.
Yeah.
A lot of times we feel like we're stuck in a certain mindset and stuff, but when you find your ways, like you did, to kind of break yourself free from that mental spiral that you start going down, if you can recognize you're going down the spiral and you can elicit other people or other things, other ways of dealing with it, a lot of times you can break the cycle before you get too far.
Right. It's like I posted on my blog at one point. It's like, it's like I am not a negative person. I have a lot of negative thoughts in my head and a lot of negativity that does come out, but I am not. I am an ever hopeful person.
Mm-hmm.
I try as hard as I can be to never let like my feeling of hope get completely put out.
Mm-hmm.
And but it's really difficult at times because negativity is it's certainly it's heavier than hope is. So it's tough to get it's like I think it was our friend Oz that mentioned to me at one point about like depression, that it's basically like having a box and there's something awesome inside the box, but depression is the weight on top of the box, and you just like you're inside, like you can't lift that weight off the box, and sometimes you need help to get the weight off the box in order to get to the awesome stuff inside. And that's the thing, is like, a lot of people that go through this know that they're not a bad person, or that they're not, I hate when people are like on social media when they, they're like, oh, blah, blah, I'm broke. And it's like, no, you're not broke. It's broken almost means not fixable, like in my head. Broke is like too negative of a term for me. It's like fractured I can live with.
Mm-hmm.
Like we all kind of have a fracture somewhere in us, and it's like, it makes it sound, and I know it makes it seems like I'm making a cute phrase for it, but I'm not. It's just, I think when you start seeing yourself as totally broken, you stop seeing yourself as fixable.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's a good place to be, because I've been that far gone, and
yeah. Well, I think that analogy's been used a lot. My thing with the whole broken and fractured and stuff, my issue with it is that it equates to something that's perfect.
yeah,
Something that's whole. And I don't think any of us are or ever will be. And if we're seeking out the perfection of, because if you take a lamp when you buy it from the store is essentially perfect in its own right.
Yeah.
That is a whole thing.
Yeah.
And if it gets broken or anything like that, then it's broken, or then it's fractured. It's it's got breaks and stuff in it.
Yeah.
But my vision on that is that it's more beautiful, because when you have perfection, when you have that, it's exactly how it was intended to be, it's almost false. It doesn't have a layer. It just is. But if it's got a dent, or if it's got a crack in it, or this and that, it has a story then.
Yeah.
It's got dimension. It's got, things behind it. It's got a history. It's got a future. There's so much more to it. So I like to look at humans more that way. When we come out of the womb, we're perfect as perfect as we're probably ever going to be, but yet we're helpless.
Yeah.
We can't communicate.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many things that aren't great about
really,
being perfect.
What ends up happening for a lot of people is and I mean a lot of people, most people I'd probably even think is, whether you realize it or not, we basically spend our lives chasing perfection.
Yes.
We want to be the best we can be at anything, and we're all flawed. I mean, there's no one who's not. And it's so weird how, honestly, just accepting that you're flawed and that's fine, because that's what being a human is, would seriously alleviate tons of pressure on so many people. But we cannot grasp that. Like, you can say it and all this, but it's like most people cannot process that in a way that pertains to, it's cool if I'm not the best. I'm just going to be as good as I can be, and that's enough. Like, there's so many people that just can't accept that. Like, I can't accept that. I know that. Like, it drives me crazy when things aren't the way I've envisioned them, kind of a thing. It drives me insane how falling short of that goal makes me,
Which I'm sure attributes to the fact that you don't even want to try to reach the goal.
Exactly. Eventually you get to, it's like, why bother? I can't do it. Why bother? And it's, and then again, it's like anything. It's almost like you become obsessed with the negativity, or obsessed with the, I don't know, the comfort of just not trying. And, it's why, we all laugh when, like, what is it, The Simpsons, when Homer tells Bart, he's like, the lesson to be learned here, kids, is never try, or something like that, and it's like,
right.
It's funny, but it's like, that's a horrible thing to tell, which is why it's funny, obviously, because that shows how not great Homer is as a parent,
Exactly.
So, yeah, I don't know. It's a funny, not funny, but it's a really interesting voyage, especially the last few years for me, because I've always known, or not always, but I've known about that I've been depressed for so long but it's now that I've tried over the last few years to really force myself to recognize patterns and different stuff. It's almost like you feel like you're a football coach. Like, what do we do bad? Like, okay, now we're going to recognize what we do that leads to being sloppy on our tackling or our blocking or whatever. Now, okay, let's fix that part of it. Like, let's not be sloppy anymore, which leads to bad form and bad, function. Like, let's, and I think that's kind of where I've been trying to be more, is, cleaning up some of the sloppiness, basically, so that I don't fall into those bad habits again.
Exactly. I mean, my trek with social media, because it's interesting, because like Facebook is more me kind of just sharing my life and communicating with people and stuff, and it's much more light.
Yeah, I barely even use Facebook.
Exactly.
For that reason, yeah.
It's just much more light. It's much more surface stuff.
Do you know what I've always felt like? I've always kind of felt like Facebook is for, like, work friends, and Twitter is for your real friends. Like, that's kind of how I've seen it. And I know there's a lot of people in our age group and younger that's how they see it, too. It's like, well, my mom's on Facebook, and, that kind of a thing, You
kind of censor yourself more there.
Right.
You just, and I enjoy Facebook. I really do. But I don't do a whole bunch there. I used to do a lot on Twitter. And what I found with Twitter, because I have a bit of a narcissist in me. I think we all do.
Oh, I've taken a test. I can certify that I am. So
yeah.
I'm the most narcissistic person on my other podcast now that Tate's gone.
Exactly. I think we all are narcissistic in our own ways. But it really, being on Twitter before, because I even changed my account and everything, really emphasized that and was really bringing out a lot of that in me, which in some ways was great, because it really made me kind of, care more about my appearance, care more about, It gave me more confidence.
Well, let me ask a question really quick, because I actually kind of have a point that I was going to make about this, and it kind of ties right into that. I see tons of selfies from women on Facebook all the time where they've got their makeup did, their hair's on point, eyebrows are on fleek, as the kids say, whatever. Everything is as it should, not as it should be. Let me rephrase. I don't want to say that. But they've got themselves, like, they're going a huge extra mile so they look good in the selfie. It's like, are they doing that just for that instant gratification, or are they doing that because they're going out and they're like, hey, this is how I look for the day?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, does it change how you care about your appearance on the day, or just for the time until you take the picture and start getting the instant gratification? Like, does it actually change your life, or does it change a few minutes? Like, that's kind of what I'm asking.
Well, I think what it changes is, instead of looking inside yourself for gratification and for acknowledgement, you look to others.
Right. Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's
anytime you're posting a picture of yourself, you're feeding your narcissism, even if you aren't on purpose. Yeah.
So I think it's you got to be careful, because that's what the road that I went down, and I started realizing that I was intentionally putting myself out as meat, basically, on a meat market.
Yeah.
And strictly because I needed all of that attention and all that from everybody else, that gratification from everybody else.
Right.
And it wasn't, and I found myself doing things that I didn't necessarily want to do or felt like doing, but I'm like, but I needed to do them because I needed to make somebody else happy, so that they in turn will say really nice things about me and make me happy. Mm-hmm. And it was just really becoming quite a negative thing, even though it didn't feel negative, even though it felt good.
You're 100% right, because it's twofold. One is, especially as you get obsessed with something, it's like anything else you become obsessed with. A little's not enough. You need more. You need more. You need more. So if you get 10 likes each time you put it on there, or this time, you got 15 or 20 likes, then this time you get 4. And it's kind of, it can be not depressing, but I guess it could be. Or, like, I've joked, and I'm joking, but I'm serious, is that generally, like, whenever I post, like, there's a hashtag on Instagram that people use called Tweet Your Life. And you're supposed to take something from Twitter that you've posted about your life and actually, you screenshot it and then put it on Instagram, which, anyway, I ranted about that on one of the episodes of Salty Language. But anyway, the last time I did it, the day before I'd put up a picture of me, and I got like 3 times as many likes on the text post than I did on the picture of me. You know what I mean? So so then that inspired a tweet from me where I was like, it's, like I'm the kind of, I think my tweet was something like, gets more likes on his text post than on his selfies, kind of hot. And it's like, I'm laughing about it, and it's not, I didn't take an ego hit on it. It's just funny to me how that can happen, and I could see where that could, like, if you posted selfies and got like a few likes, you post things that are other things and you're getting like tons of likes, and it's like, wow, nobody wants to see my face.
Exactly. Or vice versa.
Yeah, like all people want to do is see my face or
my body or
my
whatever.
body, and they, and you see that a lot. You'll see women with like their selfies getting hundreds or whatever likes, and then they post something and it's actually like a joke and it's good, and it'll get like 10 likes, and it's like, yep, that tells you where you stand.
Pretty much, and that's kind of, it's an interesting thing, because it's tough, because there's room for both. I really think there is. There's room, because everybody likes, if you post a picture of yourself and everybody likes being told they're beautiful, they're handsome, they're attractive, and everybody likes feeling attractive.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. And but I think when that becomes the sole focus and the sole purpose of a relationship, then that's when it starts to really take a negative turn.
Oh yeah, sure. And that's any, whether it's a social media based or any sort of relationship you're in. If all you're doing is telling the person how gorgeous they are, it's like you should probably put some emphasis somewhere else. Or like, seriously, you're with somebody just because they're gorgeous? It's like, I could see maybe that's the reason you might first notice them, or you're like, hey, maybe that's why you ask them out. I can live with that, because clearly if you're in a bar, you can see how gorgeous someone is, but you can't see how intelligent they are. You know what I mean? You can't instantly know how intelligent they are until you actually have a conversation of some sort. So, those are fine, but if that's the sole purpose, it's like, man, you're shallow as well.
Exactly.
But it's out there. It certainly is. And I know there's a lot of people that post because they've gone through, I've seen women that are, fresh out of divorce, and I've seen guys that are fresh out of divorce and stuff. And they need a little validation that there's a place on the market for them, basically. Kind of a thing. Like, I'm not going to lie. I'm one of those people, fresh out of a relationship and getting zero interest on dating sites. And I post a selfie, and if someone's like, hey, you're hot, it makes you feel good. You can't help it. Even if you're in a relationship and someone tells you that, like you said, we all love being told we're beautiful, And it's careful. It's like, feeding the beast, though. You have to be very careful.
Exactly.
You never know. You never know when an ego will go from just being, a nice kitty cat into like a lion. And it just starts mauling people. Yeah, it's definitely. It's a very interesting. It's one of my favorite things. I didn't even mention this about social media. One of my favorite things about social media is, if you enjoy people watching, there is no better way to watch people than the internet. Doesn't matter what the social media platform is. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all of it. Watching people and how they behave with other people that way, it's mind-blowing at times. And it's just like, psych students should be writing papers upon papers upon papers about the people watching you can do without having to do any work. All you have to do is follow accounts and just watch. It's like someone going, hey, there's going to be a car wreck over there in about 10 minutes. And you're like, sweet, pulling up your chair and just wait.
Exactly.
and good things and bad things, you know. And
oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
You know, it's not just watching for someone to self-destruct.
Right.
You get to people watching. It's all about kind of, you know, seeing how someone else does something or how their mind works. I mean, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
It really is. It's very fascinating, and I love that aspect of it. And you know, and that's why, you know, I thought about it, and I went back on Twitter, and I went on Twitter as another account. You know, now I'm under Jen's Crazy Life, and I'm finding it's entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
It's not as it doesn't pull me in like the other account did.
Yeah.
You know,
it's people joke about how there's different sides of Twitter, and for the longest time I was like, well, no, there's not, and there really is, though. The more I look at it, there really is. But it's similar to, like, you know, you know, dice have different sides to them. It's the same concept. It's, you know,
and it really depends upon, you know, the people that. The way I named my account this time is different than the way I named my account last time.
Yeah.
You know, the name that I used to use was very sexual and stuff, and it prompted that type of attention.
Yeah, exactly. And which a lot of accounts that have some sort of, I don't know, sexy name or a saucy name or whatever to them, that's what happens. It's almost like you set an expectation based on the name. And then if the account kind of follows suit, then, you know, then next thing you know, guys on the internet will be guys on the internet, and
dick pics, yay!
Not just that, but it's, I have seen so many guys with watching people like, a woman will put a selfie up, and there's like all these guys, hey gorgeous and derp and all, and it's like, it's like that's cool and all, but at the same time, like, these guys, you just watch them just throw themselves at a lot of women. Like, you'll see it just, like, you'll see different accounts, and you'll see the same names, you know, and it's like, dude, that's like, seriously, get a glass of water if you're that thirsty. Like, settle down, you know? It's like, don't get me wrong, if you meet someone on Twitter, that's cool. I've talked to and know people who've met through Twitter, and that's fantastic. Anything that makes it easier for two people to fall in love and get together, great. I'm all for it. I don't care. You know, I want people to find that and be happy. But some of these guys, it's like, yo, you're coming across as desperate. Like, there's a difference. It's like I tell women when they take their selfies, it's like, there's a difference between wide-eyed, which looks enticing and whatnot, and crazy eyes. It's a very fine line.
Too much eyes.
Yeah, it's like, whoa. You look like you're going to eat something, or eat someone, you know? Like, settle it down.
Right. It is just a very, it's very interesting. You know, I think people are a lot more honest because they have anonymity, which helps.
Oh, yeah. It gives a lot of people bravery that they wouldn't have in real life, Which is good and bad, you know. Yeah.
Exactly. And, you know, so I think there's a lot to be said for social media, especially, you know, when it comes to mental illness and stuff. A lot of times you need that dump. You need to get out of your own head.
Yeah.
And it's a great way of doing that. It's a great way of connecting people while still being safe, like the comedian was talking about earlier that you mentioned. So, I mean, I think there's a lot of benefits to it, as long as, just like everything in life, like you've mentioned, it all has to be done in media, you know.
And going back to that article that I was reading, you know, from the one depression website, that's what they're talking about. They're like, make sure that you cut down on, you know, you cut back on your social media so that you're not replacing hanging out with friends with being on Instagram or something, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
or while you're hanging out with friends, being on Instagram or anything.
You're right. Like taking selfies of the group you're with and posting the group you're with.
Exactly.
That way everyone in the group can like it while they're all there. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to, you know, we have, my friends, when we go out, we have what's called Twitter jail or phone jail, where everybody has to put their phone in the middle of the table.
Yeah.
And the first person to touch their phone has to buy the next round.
Yeah, I know a lot of people do that, or it'll be, you know, whoever does that buys dinner, which is way more expensive, and
Exactly.
Right.
And it kind of gets you, you know, gets you away from the dependence of the phone and stuff, and really helps you to focus on what you're there.
I just find that when I'm with groups of people, I just don't want my phone. Like, it's why you rarely see pictures of me taking pictures when I'm hanging out with people. I mean, aside from I don't do it very often. It's, you know, it's also that when I get out and we start, you know, talking and having a good time and having a few drinks, or I don't even think about pulling my phone out most of the time. You know, it's just not who I am. You know, maybe because people different. Oh, you should have taken a picture. But like, I didn't even think about it. You know,
right? I do that a lot myself.
I put it in my pocket, and that's the end of it. You know, I'll check it occasionally and be like, oh, I missed this and this, and back into my pocket it goes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I think something that I read from the Huffington Post is 8 most important things that we've. Well, shoot, I apologize. I lost the title. Okay, 8 most important things we've learned about happiness in the past 10 years. And one of the things on here, I mean, the first one is we get happier as we get older, which is interesting.
Yeah.
So I guess it kind of refers more to we don't sweat the small stuff as much.
I was just going to say, I bet that's the reason, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Number 2 is you can rewire your brain for happiness.
Yeah.
Which is very, very difficult, but can be done. I mean, especially people with mental illness that struggle with anxiety and depression and stuff, it's even harder, but it can be done. So something to keep that in mind. Happy mind, healthy body. So being positive and being healthy, or being happy leads to being healthy. Being healthy leads to having a happy mind.
Right, and I can give you a quick example on that, is that me with the depression and the defeatist kind of feelings that I have a lot of times, I have the hardest time getting any sort of exercise. Like, I don't work out at all.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people who look at the people who work out, like a great example is The Rock. You know,
Yeah.
he's like an extreme example, but he's a great example in that, like, he posted on his Instagram today, you know, basically, like, it was right after he got done with his cardio, and he is just dripping wet with sweat, and it's basically like, that's how he gets charged up for his day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he gets up, he gets his sweat on, and then he, you know, launches right from that into the rest of his day. You know, all positive thinking, and, you know, I roll out of bed, and I have to, like, push myself out of bed, and then I'm like, you know.
Exactly. Now, another one, social connection is a key. You have to be social, which, you know,
Like,
we've kind of talked about social media and stuff, so that makes sense.
I think they mean more real-life social, but yeah.
Exactly. Real life social is a little bit more difficult for some. So,
Yeah.
you know, any social interaction you can get, the better off you are.
Yeah.
We can thrive in the face of others' life changes. Wait a minute. I lied. We can thrive in the face of life changes. I think that's true. I mean, when faced with changes and things that, you know, it does kind of prove how we can kind of put aside our own mental stuff and really focus on helping others or helping things.
Yeah.
So we're happier when we're helping others.
Mm-hmm.
And lasting happiness is born of purpose.
Yeah, I can buy into that, because feeling of worthlessness is like a huge, you know, I mean, that's an obvious sign of depression, you know. So yeah, that makes perfect sense.
So I thought that was interesting. It was a good read, and it really kind of made me think about different things. Because something that I've always I've felt for a long time is that you have to have a purpose when you wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
You know, even if it's something as simple as making sure my cat is taken care of.
You're absolutely right. They tell people with depression that, you know, make a to-do list every day. Don't make an incredible one. Make it things you know you can achieve. You know, even if it's the dumbest stuff, like get dressed, take a shower, feed the cat, like you said. You know, just stuff that most people would be like, why are you writing this down? This is stuff I do every day. It's like, because I need the completion, the satisfaction of the check mark, essentially.
Yep.
I need to check that off and go, I did everything on my list today, or I did 4 things on my list that I didn't do yesterday, or however you need to look at it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Exactly. Well, guess it's about time, so let's issue our challenges for the week. So, my challenge, let me think, what am I challenge? My challenge is going to be taking care of the house I'm in. Because I have a tendency to have a lot of incomplete things that I do. You know, I'll do the dishes, but I don't put them away.
Yeah, okay.
I sort the laundry out, but I don't actually put it away. So
So your problem is putting things away, actually.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I need to complete. So that's my challenge this week, is to set a chore and complete it and finish it. So that's going to be my focus. What do you think? What are you doing this week?
Mine's similar in that, and this, again, it's one of those things that's not going to seem like a big deal to people, but I know you will appreciate how much it actually is. Is that I'm going to try to get a logo for the show done, and I'm also going to try to get at least one T-shirt design idea done for my other podcast.
That's awesome.
So,
perfect.
Like I said, I know you can appreciate how little artwork I actually do anymore. So to do 1 or 2 things is actually a huge step for me. So,
and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
You know, and I encourage everybody out there, set your own challenges for the week and let us know.
Yep.
You know, contact us. I'm on Twitter at Jen's Crazy Life. There's the Crazy Life podcast at outlook.com. And you can also reach us through our website, the Crazy Life Podcast, at weebly.com. And how about you, Brian?
You can find me at Stunami on Twitter. That's generally the best place to find me. Or, you can check out my other podcast, which is Salty Language at saltylanguage.com, and it's on Twitter at salty_language. One other thing I want to emphasize is, we are not doctors or medical professionals in any way, and if you need help, if you just need a person to talk to, reach out to us. If you are in a position where you need help, please call the suicide hotline number or a medical professional and seek help. I can't stress that enough. If you can, go get the help you need.
Absolutely. Everybody is worth it. You are worth the effort. Everyone is worth the effort.
Yep.
So don't let yourself get too far gone. Definitely reach out and seek help and communicate.
Yeah.
Get out of your own head.
Definitely. You're not alone. There's tons of people that are like you. I think the number is, 1 in 3 people suffer from some form of mental illness. Mm-hmm. That's, again, in baseball, that's Hall of Fame numbers. You know what I mean? I know in real life 33% is not that much, but it's it still is. 30% of anything is a significant number,
Absolutely.
So
until next week,
well,
find
actually,
your happiness.
One last thing, which is that the opening song is Can't Fix Crazy by Awkward Girls. I want to make sure I put that in there.
Absolutely. Oh, and before we sign out, I want to make sure that we thank Henno for his very, very gracious contribution to the show. He sent us some music that we're going to be listening to and looking into. So thank you. It's incredibly inspiring when something that you say or do can inspire someone else.
Right.
So just keep that going, everybody.
And you can find him on Twitter at IDAHENNO. It's Ida Henno. And he's also on Angela's Awesome Podcast. He's on 2 other podcasts, Gotham Lights podcast, and I can't remember the other one he's on now. But anyway, he's on a few podcasts also, as well as just an upright guy. So
very, very cool guy. And thank you for everyone who's reached out to us. We appreciate your feedback, and we love hearing from you. So please keep it up. Reach out to us. We love hearing from you, and it's helpful to us as well as hopefully helpful to you and making connections. So thank you.
Yep. Yeah, thanks everyone for listening, for your downloads. Please, share it with your friends. We should be up. We've submitted the show to Stitcher, and as soon as I get the logo done, we'll be submitting it to iTunes, so it'll be easier to get on your phones and through your download programs for podcasts and such. So that's all I got.
Awesome. Well, find your happiness, everybody, and be careful with the social media. Be safe, and we'll catch you next week.